Hey, welcome back to the Birdie Briefing, and this is your Birdie Buzz for the week of September 22nd. I'm Marie, and here's your front page snapshot of the LPGA, the week's biggest headlines, storylines you might have missed, and a little off-course news too. So let's get into it. The biggest news is, of course, that the Walmart Northwest Arkansas Championship taking place this weekend was canceled. Saturday was very rainy, lots of thunderstorms. The players had to stop, so not everyone had finished round two. And then overnight, they received another 3.25 inches of rain. And really, Sunday they seemed hopeful they might be able to reopen, but the course was deemed unplayable. I'll post a few pictures on the YouTube, but really, the pictures kind of tell the whole story. It looked like it was a mess, not something they could fix quickly enough to even get it to be a 36-hole tournament. And because it was just an 18-hole tournament, because not everyone could play the full 2 rounds, that means it is not an official tournament anymore. You need 36 holes to be an official LPGA tournament. So this is just one of those things that happened. Tickets were refunded for those who were planning on going out. And then the prize money will be distributed. I don't believe all of it. Some of the prize money will be distributed to players, even those who would have otherwise missed the cut. So while that's too bad, this type of thing does happen. Let's look at a few of the final scores after just the first round. American Sarah Schmeltzel and Japanese player Minami Katsu were tied for first with -8. And then tied for third with -7 were Spanish player Carlota Segunda, Japanese player Nasa Hataoka, Americans Alison Lee and Lilia Vu, Irish player Leona Maguire, and then Korean player and fan favorite Somi Lee. They all tied again for third with -7. But let's talk about a few stories that were percolating at this tournament that deserve, I think, a little bit of a shout out. I mean, really, can we talk about Lilia Vu? She's back. She, you may have known, was first in the world for a while, I believe. She had a major back injury, though, in 2024. She's had a really tough year returning to golf. I guess her back injury was so bad that she really couldn't even swing a golf club. That's how severe it was. She says she's mostly been focusing on, the physicality of the sport, but she said this time she focused on sort of mental reframing, which seemed really successful. She said, I was talking with a mental coach, and the only goal today was to try my best on the shot in front of me and not get ahead of myself. I think I did that really well. I gave it all in my each shot, and it turned out pretty nicely. I would agree, Lilia. I would have loved to see your full performance at this tournament and to let you see a little money of those winnings in your pocket, but still, wonderful performance. Another story I wanted to talk about was Chinese player Muni Lily He. She tied for 9th, so still within the top 10, though I guess it's unofficial, so it's not going to count for her statistics. She is someone I wanted to talk about because I've been following her on Instagram for so long, and I've never really seen her name come up in terms of the golf playing part of this. So let's just take a little moment to look at Lily He and see what she's been doing differently to kind of make her way into the top. So she is 26 years old. She was born in China, but it looks like she's been in America for quite a while. She went to high school in Southern California, then went to USC. She's joined the tour in 2019, has had 1 win. I think her personal life is maybe a little bit more exciting than her professional life until now. But she has 1.1 million followers on Instagram, which is a lot. She was recently in Vogue, the Hong Kong Vogue. I think it was just a few months ago. She really looks stunning. She's beautiful. She's dating a Formula One driver for Williams Racing. His name is Alex Albon. I don't follow Formula One, but he has almost 4 million followers on Instagram, so I take it he's a pretty big deal. She also posts a lot of luxury types of vacations on her Instagram, very glamorous. She seems like a wonderful girl, and she's absolutely a wonderful player. But I think a lot of her time has been spent gallivanting around the world with her handsome F1 boyfriend. But that's about to change now because she is really coming into her own on her golf game. She is working with a new caddy. She found herself without a caddy at the Portland Classic a few months ago. She called her old friend. He's on the PGA Tour. His name is Norman Zhang. He is also from California. She said that they grew up playing junior golf together. So Norman's working as her caddy for now. He wanted to see sort of that other perspective, which I thought was really cool. He's also serving as her de facto advisor. Of course, that's what caddies kind of can be. I guess they completely changed her club set, which I thought was ballsy or was a little risky. But she ended with a 65, which is her lowest round on the tour since 2023. She's, 318 in the Rolex rankings, but for the race to the CME, she's 129. So if she could have gotten some of those CME points, that really would have gone a long way to sort of securing her spot for next year, keeping her tour card. But, if she keeps this up, I think she might have a good chance of just getting some even just a couple top 25 finishes. Maybe that would be enough to secure her spot for next year. That's the big news out of Arkansas. The other big news that happened this week was Stacy Lewis, legendary LPGA player, has announced that she will retire. She announced it on Wednesday, said it would be her last season. She said at 40 years old, her body was telling her it's time. As someone around the same age, I can understand, especially all that she puts it through on tour. Craig Kessler put out a funny/weird video where he was saying, announcing Stacey's retirement or commenting on it. There's a big sort of storm cloud behind him. He was obviously, I believe, in Arkansas. And he's like, was it something I said? I haven't been able to find it since I first saw it on Instagram, but she's obviously a legendary player. She has spent 25 weeks as the world number one in the past. She's won 13 titles. She's won 2 majors, the 2011 Chevron and 2013 Women's British Open. She was the player of the year in 2012 and 2014. She was on the Solheim team and captain multiple times. Nelly Korda was sort of giving Stacey her props. She was noting that, Stacey really wanted to win after she had her daughter Chesney in 2018, and she did it, which, we'll talk a little bit more about moms on tour, but Nelly was like, it was her hard work, her work ethic, resilience, and I think those are all great words to describe Stacy Lewis. I think this fact was pretty interesting, and I feel like it was faded in some ways. So she announces her retirement at this tournament in Arkansas. She went to the University of Arkansas, so that's, I think, part of it. She, though, what's interesting, she earned her first unofficial LPGA victory at the same tournament in 2007 when it was very similarly reduced to 18 holes, which I think is fascinating. So she kind of, I swear she willed this to happen, though I don't think this is probably how she wanted it to go down, but it's kind of a full circle type of moment. It does seem like she's going to continue to be part of the tour some way. There was a lot of reading between the lines, I think, happening when I was reading articles about her retirement. She has been a part of the LPGA organization. She was part of the commissioner search. She's sort of helped transition some of her personal sponsors into becoming title sponsors for tournaments. I guess she had 6 different sponsors that were just hers that she convinced or she helped the tour get as sponsors, which I think is really impressive. She said, I hope to continue to make an impact on this tour. I want to continue to find ways to give back. We'll see what happens with Stacy Lewis. I think that'd be a smart choice. She's business-minded. She represents an era, not just great golf, but also leadership. Her legacy wasn't just trophies. It was about shaping the future. She mentored younger players, captained the Solheim teams, and influenced sponsor dollars. So her retirement really does remind us how much the LPGA needs players who wear both the competitor and the advocate hat. I think she does a great job of embodying that. Another story that I think is worth mentioning, this news is a few weeks old, so you might have heard it. I know I went a little hard on Craig Kessler last week. I stand by everything I said, but I do want to give props where props are due. He did find a new sponsor for the Founders Cup. So Cognizant had been the tournament sponsor, but they pulled out in 2024 and the LPGA was left in a bit of a lurch. They did hold the 2025 tournament, but the LPGA had to back it. And so now Fortinet has signed a multi-year sponsorship for the Founders Cup. This is I think it's a big deal tournament. It honors the 13 founders, and it also has one of the biggest non-major purses on tour. If you don't know, there were 13 different founders for the LPGA. It's a wonderful story. I plan on doing a podcast episode about it sometime just because it's something we should all know about the history. LPGA has been around for 75 years, and there's a reason for that. This Founders Cup was originally launched in 2011, though it had a mock purse, which means all of the money went to charity, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, like I said, there's been a little bit trouble securing a sponsor. But I guess Craig Kessler worked his contacts. He knew the general manager of a course at Sharon Heights, which is in Menlo Park, California. He, I guess, had been wanting an event in Northern California because there hasn't been one there since 2022. There's also, Stanford Women's Golf is, I think they lost this year to Northwestern, but they are typically one of the best, if not the best, women's golf. Stanford is the gold star for women's golf at the collegiate level. So it makes sense, I think, to have an event there. A lot of the players are also from Northern California. I guess after Craig had the location that he wanted in NorCal, he then approached Fortinet. I guess they were already sponsoring some other tournaments with the PGA, but also the AJGA, which is the Amateur Junior Golf Association. I guess they finalized a deal over a round of golf with the Fortinet founders, the Xi brothers. They also then agreed to sponsor the tournament and then made a sizable donation to the LPGA Foundation. I mean, the purse is going to be $3 million. It's in Menlo Park. It sounds like it's going to be a great time. And I love the message of the Founders Cup. So Fortinet's deal is, exactly that kind of stability and visibility the LPGA has been seeking. So I think really, all in all, it's some great news. Great job, Craig. I will give you props for that. All right, another story I think is worth talking about is Alison Lee. She is a new mom on tour. She just returned after giving birth earlier this year. I think she's worth taking another look at because she also, if you will remember, was one of the top 10 players at the Northwest Arkansas Championship. Let's talk a little bit more about her. Her rookie year was 2015. She's currently 30 years old. She has had 22 top 10 finishes, 55 top 25 finishes. She sometimes plays with the LAT. She's from LA. Her parents were Korean immigrants. I mean, if you haven't heard of her, I understand. She has been around for a while and played some really compelling golf. She was on the Solheim team and says that she would love to return if she can get her game right. The team won't be finalized until several weeks prior to the event, which takes place in about a year from now in the Netherlands. So, like I said, she had her son, his name is Levi. He was born on April 25th by emergency C-section. She didn't think she would be back so soon. An emergency C-section, I had one of those as well. That is not an easy recovery. It's not something you necessarily plan to have, hence the word emergency. So I'm sure that it was a very slow road for her. She is just kind of testing the water. She doesn't really plan on being back full time until her son's about a year, so next April. But maybe she'll change her mind. I guess her mom is traveling with her to help with the childcare, and hopefully the LPGA can be supportive. So I think Lee's story it's not just about motherhood. It's about, perseverance in a career. And with Levi in tow, she's balancing recovering, getting her identity back and regaining her ambition as a professional athlete. I'd like to point out that a lot of the PGA Tour players play well into their 30s and 40s. A lot of them are fathers. So I think if the PGA can figure it out, I think the LPGA can figure it out too. I would love to see a little bit more from Alison Lee this year before she takes time off to continue recovering before she's back full time. Okay, one last story that I couldn't help myself. Charley Hull. I guess she's the interesting type of personality that Craig Kessler was talking about. But she was invited to a reception for American President Donald Trump at Windsor Castle last Wednesday. She posted a picture of herself all dolled up, looking gorgeous, before the reception. And in her captions, she said she finally met Trump. And I was curious, like many of you, perhaps, why she said finally. She's not American. It was just an odd thing to say. Though apparently his team had reached out to her manager to play around in 2024. She said it didn't materialize due to her schedule. But I guess that is changing. She said, "We are really going to try and sort a game out before the end of the year, which will be pretty cool." Hull has always been a bit of a wild card, and this just reinforces it. She's really just unapologetically herself, whether that's on the course or at Windsor Castle meeting a polarizing figure. Agree or disagree with her choices, she does keep herself in the headlines, and that's part of why fans and the media cannot look away. So that's your story. That's your Charley Hull update. And that was your Birdie Buzz for the week of September 22nd. From washed out tournaments and retirement announcements to new sponsors, new moms, and even Windsor Castle cameos. I'm Marie, and this has been the front page for women's golf. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next week for another Birdie Buzz.